CCTV Camera World is proud to provide support for products purchased from our website. If you purchased your product from another vendor, please contact the vendor you purchased from for further assistance. In this video, I'm going to show you how to play back recorded footage from your Security Cameras Inc. NVR or DVR using the SCI View software on a Windows computer or Mac. So first you need to open the software. It may require you to log in, but when you open the software, you will be greeted with the grid screen here. Now keep in mind this is the live view grid, so you need to get to the playback screen by clicking the home page button at the top left hand side of the software, and then clicking under the operations section the playback button. When you do this, you're going to get to the playback screen, in which case you need to select your group first by clicking the caret icon. The default group is called root, and then you can see the devices you have added to the software when you click your group. You see I have Office NVR here, and then I'm going to click the caret icon next to Office NVR to open up the cameras that I have added. So any of the cameras that are connected to the system will show in green, and then any of the channels that don't have any cameras connected will show in gray. So right now I'm going to focus on channel 2, and then you need to choose the stream type. Now keep in mind the stream type needs to be enabled for recording in order for you to have video recorded of that stream type. So the two types are mainstream and substream. As I mentioned, make sure you have recording enabled for that type of stream in order to expect it to have playback or footage recorded for you to playback. So I'm going to focus on mainstream in this video. Next is the record type. So this is the type of recording that the NVR has actually recorded from the camera. So this depends on what settings you have enabled for the camera. For example, I'm going to click the two arrow icon here to show the types of recording. So all recording would be everything, including the manual, normal, alarm, and intelligent recording. And to explain some of these, the manual recording is if you're on your NVR and you see something that you want to record and you click the manual record button, then that would be considered manual recording. Normal recording would be your continuous 24/7 recording schedule. Under alarm, we have various types of alarm recording, one of them being motion, the next being I/O, which is your alarm inputs. PIR is passive infrared, which is another type of alarm sensor. AD, which stands for analytic detection or intelligent detection. We have all of the types of those recording here at the bottom. We show how to set those up in another series of videos. Last but not least is ANR, or automatic network replenishment. In case the link between the NVR and camera drops and the camera has an SD card with the recording, it will then sync that recording on the SD card back to the NVR. So you would select the type of recording that you want. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to leave all recording types enabled and then click out of the double arrows. On the bottom is the time, so it shows you the hours you have selected. However, if you want to choose the date, you do need to click on the calendar icon at the right hand side of the time. When you click on it, you'll see an interface here that shows a calendar. Any of the dates that have a red triangle at the bottom right of them is where you have recording. So I'm going to choose yesterday, and then you see your start time would be midnight from the day prior, and then the end time will be just before midnight at the end of the day you have selected. So I'm going to leave these as the default. If you wanted to, you could of course choose the hour and end time where you believe that an event happened to narrow down your search. So I'm going to click off of there, and it's going to close out of the calendar. Now I'm going to click the search button to bring up all the recording I have for channel 2 from my NVR. So you'll notice that the timeline here has the various colors. It is following the color coding from the record type menu. So if you want to know what type of recording you have for a certain period of the day, make sure you do come over here and check the key for the type of recording. So you'll notice I have pretty much all types of recording. I have motion detection and continuous for these few hours in the morning and into the afternoon, and then I have an intelligent rule set up in the later half of the afternoon. So you'll see the various types of colors on my timeline here. Now it might be hard to see the different events on my timeline, so we need to use the timeline controls at the bottom of the software. Here is a left arrow, on the right is a right arrow, and then we have the zoom plus and zoom minus buttons. As you can imagine, the zoom plus zooms you in and the zoom minus zooms you out. So if I wanted to get closer into my timeline to narrow it down to a lower scale, then I could do so by clicking the plus button. So now the scale is an hour. If I go even further in, it's a half-hour scale, but now I can't see my timeline, so I would need to click the right arrow to increment a half an hour at a time. Now incrementing at a half hour at a time is kind of slow, so I'm going to go ahead and click the zoom out button and increment an hour at a time. So now I can easily get my timeline in view, and then if I want to zoom back into the timeline, I would click the plus button. So zoom back out, go to the right, click somewhere on the timeline, it's going to start playback, and then click the plus button to zoom in to where my playhead is on my timeline. Here we have a good cross section of the recording types. As I mentioned, green will be the continuous recording, yellow will be motion detection recording, blue will be the intelligent recording I have enabled, and then orange is the alarm recording. So it could be any type of alarm recording, whether it's motion detection plus intelligent or any other type of combination of intelligent and alarm recording. So here the green interspersed throughout indicates to me that nothing happened and it was only continuous recording during those periods of time. So if I wanted to bring this camera into full screen to look at a closer look at what's going on, then I would double click to bring it into a larger grid screen. I can also choose the type of grid that I want to use at the bottom right hand side. So 1 through 16 you can use for playback. That means you can play back up to 16 cameras at a time. Then we have a full screen button here. If I want to bring this camera into complete full screen, then I would click that button. And then to exit this full screen interface, I do either need to press the escape key on my keyboard or right click on the screen and then click the quit full screen button. So that is how you get in and out of the full screen that is available to you. Now I did click on the timeline to be taken to this motion detection event. So if I click on any of these other motion detection events, I'll actually see the type of motion that was detected, such as that car going by, that caused this motion detection event to be detected. For the blue, I have pedestrian and vehicle detection enabled. So if I click towards the beginning of any sort of blue event, I should see that vehicle, and you saw the small blue rectangle. It was very quick. You may have to rewind the video to see that. But that blue rectangle indicates and shows me what actually caused the event detection to occur. So if I were to click anywhere else on any of these blue events, I would hope to see another type of object that caused that event to be detected. So I might need to go a little further back. And we can see that blue rectangle again was detecting that truck, and that truck is ultimately what triggered the recording for this blue section of intelligent recording. So next, that leads me into my playback controls that are available to me. So here we have the download and clip button. I'll show those in another video that shows you how to actually export video from your NVR or DVR using the software. As I mentioned, this video is going to focus on playback. So the button in here is the synchronous playback button. This is if you wanted to play back video from multiple channels at the same time in the same time period. And I'll show you how to do that further in this video. For now, I'm going to focus on the additional playback controls. The pause button, of course, will pause your playback. If you need to take a snapshot, then you could hover over your camera and then click the capture button. So if you want to pause, take a snapshot, then you would pause the playback and then hover over your screen and click the capture button. This is going to save the capture to your Windows computer or Mac computer and allow you to double click on this link to be taken to the folder where that snapshot is stored on your computer. And then you could copy this photograph and save it or share it as you please. So I'm going to close back out of this folder. Next is the stop playback button. This would stop playback from my camera and turn it back to a black screen. So I'm going to click back on my timeline to bring my camera back up. Next we have the reverse. So if you wanted to actually reverse back playback, then you could do so, and you'll see it automatically did the 2x playback speed when I click the reverse. So if I click it again, it's going to increase the reverse playback speed. Next we have slower playback. So if I wanted to slow it down to around half time, but this is going to play it forward, then I could do so by clicking the slower playback. Again, you need to note at the top right hand side, it shows you your current playback speed. So if I do it again, I can go to a quarter time, an eighth time, or a 16th time. If I click it one more time, it's going to revert back to half time playback speed. The same is true with the fast forward. So if you do faster, you get 2x, 4x, 8x, and 16x, looping back to 2x when I click it again. So I'm going to click play to get back to 1x speed. So for any of those that you click, if you want to go back to 1 times forward playback, then you do just need to click the play button and it will do that for you. Next would be the frame by frame. So let's say if I wanted to get more details from a particular vehicle that's crossing in front of my camera, then I could click the single frame button. So I'm seeing this car come by and I'm just going to keep clicking the single frame button, and now I have a good shot of this car. So I was using the single frame button to just see each individual frame that my camera captured from this car. So I can do it step by step to get as much detail as I need from playback during that time. And once again, I could take a snapshot if I needed to of this particular event. So last but not least, there is the audio playback button. So if you have audio from your camera, you would simply enable the speaker, click the play button, and then if there is audio present, you would be able to hear that audio. So now I'm going to turn the audio back off and then click the speaker icon to get rid of the little volume control. Next is the smart search button, and I'll show that in a little bit. Then we have the open all channels. This will open all channels that you have selected from the left-hand side and open playback for those channels. Now keep in mind it will start at the beginning of that playback. So if you wanted to synchronize it and then click a point on your timeline, you would need to click the synchronous playback button and then click a section on your timeline. And I'll show that in a moment. Next would be stop all channels. If you had multiple channels playing, then you could stop them all. So if you click that, then it is going to stop playback for any channels that you have open and playing back. Last but not least is the fisheye button. If you had a fisheye camera connected to the system that's compatible, then you could click the fisheye button to de-warp that camera. So I've already covered the grid options and the full screen button, but those are the last 2 buttons here on this row. So this leads me to the other functions, such as the snapshot, which I showed you. Next would be record. Now this is just recording a clip from the software as it's playing back to your computer. So if you click record and then you click it again, it's just saving a file to your computer. You can double click this link once again to be taken to the folder where that video file is stored. And once again, you could convert this RF file or play it back using the software. Getting back to the software, the next one is the zoom or digital zoom function. So this is digital zoom. So if you click on it and then you drag and draw a rectangle, what this is doing is attempting to blow up that part of the picture to get better detail. So once again, I can click on the magnifying glass, click and drag to make a rectangle, and that is blowing up a part of that image because it's pixelated because it is actually enlarging and stretching the image to get more detail. Next is the add default tag. So what this allows you to do is just sync a tag with your NVR for that particular moment in time. If you want to go to your NVR and then look at that particular playback, it will now add that tag. Same with the add customized tag. So the default tag is just whatever default tag you have set up on your NVR. It will follow whatever name you have, but however the custom tag lets you name it. So you could call it an event. And again, what that allows you to do is go back on your NVR or back into the software for later and then see where you made that tag and easily find that event. You can also search by tags, which I show how to do that on the actual HDMI or monitor interface guide. Next is the screenshot crop button. So this allows you to take a screenshot of just a particular area of the picture. So if I wanted to just take this truck, then I would screenshot and then I could save this screenshot of the truck. I'm going to click the exit button because I don't really want to save that screenshot. So last but not least, I will show how to play back from multiple channels. So I'm going to unselect the screenshot option here. I'm going to go down to my grid and I'm going to choose the 4 camera grid option. So I only have 1 channel selected, so I'm only seeing 1 channel here on my timeline. If I wanted to play back from multiple channels, I do need to come over here to the left, choose them, make sure I choose my stream type, record type, and my time. Once again, choosing yesterday and the whole day, and then I would need to click the search button. It says unable to search while playing, so I do need to click on my channel and then click stop, and then click the search button. Here we have the timelines for each different camera. Now it's worth noting that it kept channel 2 in window 1 because it was already there. So for channel 1, it's in window 2, and I only have continuous recording, so I just have a large green bar. So anywhere where I click on this timeline, it will just be continuous recording from that camera. So you'll see if I clicked on the timeline and I only had one camera selected, and I only clicked on the timeline for one camera, it's only going to pull up the recording from that camera from that time. So let's say I wanted to stop playback. I need to select this window, click stop. Let's say I wanted to pull back video from all my cameras. I would first need to come over here to synchronize playback, make sure it's selected, which will highlight it blue, and then click on my timeline for any of my cameras. Now you'll see it pulled video from all of my cameras at that time. So it'll roughly pull back video from that time for all of my channels as long as I have the synchronized playback button enabled. So we should see some traffic here at the bottom left hand side of these vehicles, and you'll see that the cars are going by roughly at the same time for all of the channels that I have selected. Now your synchronized playback will depend on the performance of your computer, the performance of your network speed, and how the cameras recorded the video. So that is how you play back video from your Security Cameras Inc. NVR or DVR. Hopefully this video helps you play back recorded video from your Security Cameras Inc. NVR or DVR. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.